To create a new consignor account, log into the back office area of the website, go to the main admin menu and look for the consignors link. There's a little plus button right next to the consignors link that you can use to access the screen that's needed to add information about a new consignor. So we'll just put in some details here. It doesn't really matter what they are. And if you want to keep track of the mailing information separately, so if they have, for example, one address where the property is located and another location where the information, post-sale information check should be mailed to, then you can keep track of that information separately. Otherwise, you can just keep set it at the same as the primary address. And then keep going with some contact details. Your website may be customized to have different form fields. Some may be missing, and they may very well be different, but this is pretty standard the way that this is set up. All right, so you can add multiple email accounts if you need for a consignor, but for the time being, this is just going to work fine. Any field marked with an asterisk is a required field. If you have a contract that actually has an expiration date on it, you can assign the date here. In most cases, consignment contracts do not have an expiration date. If you're using a commission scale, select one from the drop-down. If you want to see what the commission scale looks like, hover over the lookup text and you'll see exactly how the scale is set up. If any of the scales in the drop-down, if they don't work for you and you need another scale added, please contact support by using this intercom button down here or emailing support@auctionmethod.com to create a new commission scale. You can have a flat commission rate as well. So for example, if you're just charging a flat 20% for everything, then you can assign a scale rather than, a rate rather than a scale. The consignor's statement is going to be generated automatically after the auction is over, and so you'll want to keep track of commission amounts here, and this includes not just the commission rate as we talked about already, but minimum amounts for items that don't. If you sell an item for below a certain amount and you don't net a minimum, then you'll charge the minimum amount rather than whatever the commission rate is. So you can set this at the auction level or at the item level. Or in another way to put that is, you can charge a minimum per item, or you can charge a minimum per consignor statement. So in this case, for example, I'm going to charge a minimum of $5 for every single item. Now I do have to select this checkbox, the drop down up above here, to tell it that I want to charge minimums on both the statement and on the item. If I want to charge a minimum of, say, $100 per auction or per statement, then I would set that amount here. The checkbox below this, where it says commission on no sale. So if this box is checked, then the minimum commission amounts will be charged on a line item if it doesn't get sold. If you are keeping track, if you're assigning sales staff to the consignor, the drop down here will let you pick the person to whom you want to, the salesperson to whom you want to assign the consignor. This will allow you to keep track of sales staff earnings based upon sales commissions for particular consignors. In fact, right here, you can define, once I selected the salesperson, you can see the salesperson percentage is displayed below. In this case, let's say that they earn a nice 15% on the total earned income from the sale. If there are existing bidder accounts, also known as customer accounts in the system for this consignor, then you can search for one of the bidders by pressing this link that says search bidders, looking up a last name or a first name, and then you can select a bidder to match the account to. If you match a bidder account or any account to a consignor account, then any of the rules and restrictions that govern the consignor's account will govern the matched bidder account. If you assign a parent consignor, then that means that you're going to have another account, another consignor account, a pre-existing account that will become the parent for this one. So for example, you might have a county that is a consignor, that's a parent consignor, and then you might have the highway department and the school district be different child consignors to that main parent record. This is not frequently used, by the way. So next we get down to the consignor permissions. Like everything else on the website, your website, the back office may have slightly different options, but we're going to cover the primary options available here. So the first one, this checkbox will allow the user to add items to auctions, meaning that you can assign an entire auction to a consignor, and then they can perform the data entry. And when they do that, the items go into a review phase where administrators then review and make whatever changes are necessary and commit the items to the catalog. The next checkbox down below that is to allow the user to bid. This simply means that the account that's being created right now will be allowed to log in and participate in auctions the same way that a regular customer or bidder might do. If you want to allow them to bid, you can also give them the right to bid without requiring that they have a valid credit card on file. Most websites have a restriction that requires that newly registered users must have a valid credit card before they're allowed to participate. However, administrators can override that option, and this is one way to do that right here. If you allow buybacks, meaning that the consignor is allowed to participate in the sale, then you will want to place a check mark in the box that says allow buybacks. By default, consignors are banned from participating in their own events or bidding on their own items. However, this can be overridden by allowing buybacks. Buybacks are treated as no sales as far as consignor statements go. If you select the checkbox that says view consigned items, then the consignor will be able to log into their account and see a list of their consigned items, along with estimates of how much they will net from the sale if it sells at the current price. The checkbox below that where it says must approve own sale, if this is checked, then no items will be invoiced following an auction until after the consignor has logged in and either accepted or rejected the bids or placed a counter offer. Similarly, you can require that administrators must approve the sale. And it's the exact same thing as above, but instead of it being a consignor who must approve or counteroffer, it's the administrators who must approve, reject, or counteroffer. Neither one of these are normally used. If you notify on auction publish, all that means is that the consignor will receive an email whenever the auction is published, when it goes live. The notification options that are available have to do with sending copies of paid invoices as soon as they're marked paid. So this will, if you select, typically no one does fax, so typically it's an email notification that they receive every time an invoice from one of their auctions is paid. They get a copy of it. There's also the option to display the consignor's name on their items. This is also not always used, and in some cases, displaying the consignor's name can have implications for sales tax, mainly in the state of Tennessee in the United States. The option below that, where it says view auction invoices, if you select this option, then the consignor will be able to log in to their account, there will be a tab where they can look at invoices created for their auctions. Below that, where it says View Invoices Report, there are these two options. The Invoices Report will provide status information, buyer name, item, lot numbers, and balance due. That report, they can be granted access to view it, and below that, they can be granted access to edit it. If you're going to keep track of, if you're going to allow a consignor to mark invoices as having been picked up, then they need to be able to both view and edit the invoices report. If you press the checkbox next to view statements, then this will allow the consignor to log into their account, and there will be a tab where they can view past and present statements. The option below that, where it says allow negative net due, either you allow there to be a negative net due or you force the minimum to be 0. Typically, that's not turned on. Last but not least, where it says email account info, if you select that box, then the login credentials for the account will be sent to the consignor. In many cases, consignor accounts are created sort of shadow accounts where the consignor doesn't have credentials to log in. However, if you're going to be giving all of these other permissions up here, then for sure you'll want to send the consignor their credentials, their username and password, so that they can log in and participate. And that is how you create a new consignor record. You just press the little add button there, and you'll get a success message up above. And that's all there is to creating a new consignor record in the AuctionMethod software platform. Thank you for watching.